guys to another episode of the Charlotte Artois podcast. This is your host, Toro the Magi. What I have with me is a printmaker out here in Charlotte. She has been telling me a little bit about her craft, but I do want to have her on the show just like so she could kind of go into what goes into that. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tiana. I'm a printmaker based in Charlotte, and I'm a McCall studio artist. I'm here to kind of talk about printmaking with Toro and answer any questions he may have about it.
Awesome. So Tiana, I was like, one of the things like I haven't really talked to many printmakers, but we were just talking like, you were saying that to do a printmaking that you have to kind of like know how to draw, like you're pretty good, I guess, because it's gonna be on a t-shirt or whatever medium you're gonna be transferring it to. You want to talk to me about like your drawing process and how that comes about?
Oh, definitely. So yeah, with printmaking, it's definitely like you need to know how to draw. But also, too, like, there's different printmaking methods where you could just use a photo. Mm-hmm. So you can turn your photo into, like, a silk screen, or you can use a photo to, like, etch it on a copper plate. Mm-hmm. But as far as my drawing process, I'm a figurative artist, so I love drawing people. It's something I've been doing for the longest time. I've tried to, like, branch out of my comfort zone and do abstract work, but it didn't really speak to me as much as, like, drawing people. I love using, like, body expression and body language to kind of tell a story. So typically when I draw as a person, I like to work in a more, like, fluid, like a lot of line work. Like, I like to show movement in my drawing. So, like, when I draw people, I definitely take inspiration from, who's a good artist to name? Soe Milk. She's a Korean American artist. I love, like, there's, like, so much active movement when she, like, paints and draws people. And also Eliza Ivanova and Ernie Barnes, if I said his name right. But I love, like, their figurative work and how, like, there's so much movement, like, in the brushstroke and in the line works. So something I really aim for when I draw people is to have, like, some sort of fluidity within the body.
Yeah.
And whether it be, like, in my line work or the way that the figure is posing, I like to just have, like, something there so it's not so still. So with my drawing process, because I predominantly do dry point on Sintra, so it's taking, like, Sintra board. It's like a PVC cardboard, essentially.
Yeah.
And you kind of draw on that with a scribe, and, like, with that, like, if I'm going to do, like, dry point on Sintra, I like my figures to have, like, some sort of active line work to it so it's not so still. Mm-hmm. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I like that I hear that you do have the people that you look up to in a certain way, and their fashion, their way of doing things, their styles for drawing, and I feel that's really important as an artist to be able to do that. And I feel like it's cool to think about, like, the different domains and, like, like, every style has a different, like, big names that do certain things. Mm-hmm. And, like, we have our musicians, like, we have our Michael Jackson. Oh, I want to do something that's like Michael Jackson. Or we have the arts of, like, sculptors and different sculptors. We got Picassos that do paintings and stuff. I think it's cool just to hear about, like, who and why you like their stuff and how it goes into your stuff. And has it ever come across you to feel like you're, like, stealing it all, or does it feel like honestly, I feel like it's like, with art, it's like everything is fair game, to be honest. That's what creation is. Nothing in this world is original. It's all some type of derivative of something else. But, like, I know sometimes you can get, like, the imposter syndrome as an artist at times because we're just trying to put ourselves out there on the forefront. And things can happen. But have you ever had to deal with that at all on yourself at all?
Honestly, no. Like, I'm aware nothing's new under the sun. So I feel like originality is actually taking something and creating it and finding a way to make it your own. Like, of course, like, you're not going to be the first person to do something. Typically, it's like you're the first person to, like, put a name on it. So I am, like, a classically trained artist. So, like, I went to high school. We learned, like, realism and naturalism. I did community college where we, like, learned, like, color theory, figure drawing 1, 2, learning the basics. So something that in art, like, if you go to school, what they'll have you do is a thing called the master copy. So you select, like, a artist, like, typically that's the master, and you'll copy or replicate a piece of your, choosing. And of course, like, you got to credit it's a master copy of this artist. But with that, you take the time to learn that artist's like technique, juxtaposition, color. So I never feel like I'm stealing. Like if I feel like because like way back, I felt like I was so lost for inspiration. I did a few master copies to kind of, see what I like, brush up on some skills, kind of brush up on my sight too. Like sight is so important. Like, like seeing like the juxtaposition, the technique that they're using, like can your eyes really see like, what they're doing. Of course, like process videos too. I like to look at videos too. Like if the artist is dead, like, there's no videos usually, especially when master copies. Sometimes they're like Renaissance paintings or like very old master paintings. But recently when I do a master copy, sometimes it's a more recent contemporary artist. So with that, I don't feel like I'm stealing. I don't feel like there's an imposter syndrome. But honestly speaking, I feel like I'm learning from someone that I look up to. Like when I see these pieces, I'm like, wow, the technique, the way that they executed this painting, like I'm going to copy this and see what I learned from it, and then after that, you just go from there.
Yeah, I guess now I think about it, like as a visual artist, when you're drawing stuff, even like when we're like in elementary school, like in like these grade schools, we're in an art class, we do often have to kind of like trace something or draw something from another person's piece of work. And then if we're going to talk about other ways of making art, we don't see that as much as explicitly as we see it in like drawing. If I'm being honest. So I guess like you had the luxury of picking and choosing that source of creativity from drawing and everything. So you have a little bit of a different way. And you did talk about your being in school and all the stuff that you learned, and that's really cool because not all artists go to school. And like, cause at the end of the day, you don't need to, but it does help out with like your technique and everything, and it makes it so. I see it helps you, makes you have your technique like down packed, so it's like second nature. What have you like kind of like learned from like school really that as artists?
Oh, a lot. I would definitely say it's been a journey because, like I said, I've been drawing since I was a kid, but I really wanted to take it seriously, so I signed up for art courses when I was in high school, then took it to community college, and up until now at university. So like I'm a recent graduate from UNC Charlotte. So basically I would say like if you really want to learn like the technique, if you're really serious about learning the technique, I would say go to school if you can afford it. If not, I know there's like courses online that you can take. Like I know people still do YouTube videos. So if you have that motivation and dedication and that time to do it, if you can't afford school, it's fine. Because school is more of a social setting, I feel like. I mean, in our society, you have to have a degree in order to get a job. But I would say like school is definitely a huge social setting. But I went to Fayetteville Technical Community College. So I was blessed with Callie Farmer. She was a printmaker too, teaching drawing courses and some printmaking courses. And then Catherine Katie Morrill, she goes by Katie. But they really did push us to learning technique from figure drawing 1 and 2, like learning more about composition, value, contrast, lighting, and like the different materials they taught us, like how to execute with. And like during like the time like when you're doing this stuff, you figure out like what medium is your favorite medium, what medium gravitates toward you. So like if you gravitate towards charcoal or oil paint or acrylic paint, it's different. But I would definitely say I definitely learned a lot about technique, and definitely in school, like you build your own community, and I feel like community is important. So some of the people that you're gonna like work with like in these like studio courses, they're going to be like your all-nighter buddies when you guys have like assignments too, and I think that's really cool to have that. But also too, coming from community college to university, it became more so not about technique, but more so like technique was still there, like if you did the basic courses, but when you get more into like topics classes, like it's more so do the project, you have like the freedom to create something. It just has to be under this criteria.
Yeah.
So with that, it was definitely like a huge shift for me because it was like, oh, it was no longer you do this, you do that technique. It's more so you have like the creative freedom to do a project, but it has to be under this criteria. Now, when I first transferred to UNCC, I was a bit like confused because like, oh my God, I have all this freedom. What can I do?
Yeah.
And with that, I definitely learned like, don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone, but also too like it's a-okay to work with what you're used to, what you know. And I would say second of all, like there are going to be days where you need to drown the professor's voices out of your head, because a professor at UNCC had shared her experience with me. Like, I had a professor who lived in my head for a while, and I had to shake that off. Definitely, I would say that criticism is important, but you don't have to take it. And that's why a lot of people say art school kills creativity, because it's like art is so subjective, and a lot of people are going to have a lot of opinions, and sometimes you're going to do stuff to please the professor for a grade. But one of the head of our illustration department, he recently retired, Jamie Frankie. He was like, he was like, what's more important, the portfolio or the grade? And the portfolio, if you feel it, like if you want to take this seriously, the portfolio. Sure, you may get a C, but honestly speaking, if your portfolio speaks for itself, your CV speaks for itself, you can get an MFA somewhere. So definitely, like, technique-wise, like learning that from community college, but like definitely, like, university taught me that you need to make work that speaks to you. Like, you don't have to take criticism, but also to, like, I feel like we constantly beat ourselves up too, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to our peers. So when I came to UNCC, like, schools, like, college is not the same as it used to be. Like, you have non-traditional students. Some people, life stopped them before, and they're like, now I want to get to college. But you have people who've been drawing on the side, developing and harnessing their craft for years, finally going into college. So I was an illustration major when I first came, and I saw there was, like, a few students who've been doing this longer than me, went to, like, different schools. Like, I actually met, like, 3 or 4 SCAD students who, like, left SCAD because, like, UNCC was, like, cheaper, escaping, like, being in, like, $100,000 worth of, like, in debt, and, like, their stuff is so polished, like, they knew what they were doing, and I'm like, dang, why do I feel like I'm nowhere near their level? And, like, but that's something, like, you have to learn to stop comparing and, like, do you, like, everybody's journey is different. So I definitely had to learn that, because I burnt myself out in illustration, like, like, oh my God, like, they're doing so much better than me, like, comparing myself instead of letting myself enjoy my journey and, like, my development as an artist. So I switched from illustration to printmaking because, one, it was, like, there was more time for me to kind of work on a piece. Like, I'm more of a fine artist than an illustrator. Like, I can't really do commercial work. And then my printmaking professor, Eric Whitaker, he was like, Tiara, he was like, this isn't an insult, but, you don't really make, like, clientele work. Like, you make work for you. And I realized, I was like, yeah, you're right. And so when I, like, switched to printmaking, it was because, like, one, like, I realized that, but, like, two, I enjoyed the mixed media aspect and the exploration and, like, the the different, like, mixed media processes I can add to it. And the process was just so interesting. But, like, yeah, like I said, I just learned, like, like, stop comparing and, like, really, like, learn how to tune voices out, because you're going to kill your creativity comparing and listening to everybody else. Yeah. So.
You answered there's a few questions I wanted to ask you, but you just went ahead and answered them naturally. Thank you. No but, like, yeah, like, I'm baffled in, like, what you learn from, like, going to school. Like, that's the stuff, like, honestly, what you learn is stuff they don't teach you. And that's the funny thing. I was thinking, like, yeah, you probably didn't learn that outside of school. But no, you're a very smart individual. You saw, like, yeah, as an artist, most but definitely, like, you need to, like, be able to tune out people who are telling you, because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But, like, you as an artist, you realize this is a very emotional thing. You're putting your creation, your soul, your heart and soul out. And if you're too attached to that and what people think, you're going to have a very, very bad time. And I'm glad that you were able to learn that. I'm glad that, you're able to learn that. I'm glad that you were able to, like, kind of just pursue what you wanted to do, and you pivoted to what was right for you. And like, talk to me about like kind of, you said you wanted to do illustration at first. Were you like looking for like books, and like how did that end up being like you go into printing and stuff, printmaking?
So basically, I went into illustration because like as a kid and even now, like I'm still super into manga. I just don't really have time to really watch anime like I used to as a kid. But what really made me want to go into art was like video games, because me and my sisters, that's how we bonded. You know, like we had Tekken, like Soul Calibur, you know, all that other good jazz. And I thought it was really dope. And like at first I thought that I was going to go into like gaming design because I wanted to go to SCAD. SCAD was my dream school. But I'm not trying to pay like, you know, an arm and a leg worth of debt, you know, in tuition. So like, even though I couldn't afford that, I saw that UNCC had an illustration program, and I wanted to give it a try because I did look at the program, and it was pretty good. Like I looked into it, it was good. I think it's good now. Like, you know, there's still room for improvement, but I went into illustration. But I think what definitely influenced me was, like I said, Zoe Milk. She's a Korean American artist based in California. And a lot of her work was so illustrative. And I was like, Tiara, you know, you can major in illustration. And I've seen other artists, like, major in illustration. And I was like, you can learn from it. And you can still do illustrative paintings. Like, I've seen concept art. Because that's originally what I wanted to do. But then I realized, too, like, Tiara, I don't think this is really... You know, like, you gotta know what you're good at. And difference of what you like. So, like, sometimes what you like is not what you're gonna end up doing.
Yeah.
So, like, illustration is just so fast-paced. You got to be able to like, push out work. Like, you know, like, the illustration professors there, they could push out work. Me, I realized, like, dang, I was trained as a fine artist. You know, like, it takes time. Like, and I just wasn't a fast-paced worker. And that's okay. Like, art takes time. Not saying that, like, illustrators are like a printing machine, like a machine that's pushing it out, but like it takes a lot of time. Like, you gotta invest that time to be able to produce all those deadlines. And I just was like, you know, like I could major in printmaking and still do like fun stuff, because even on the side I still do like fun illustrations, like mixed media illustrations. It may not be concept art or anything, but I was like, yeah, you know what? What really pushed me to like go into printmaking was when I started doing the mixed media aspect of printmaking. So I was sitting there, I was doing like monotypes and gel prints, and then I would like paste them on boards, and then I'll draw on top of like those the prints that I collaged to it. And I really started enjoying it because I was like, wow, like you can still do like your figurative work on top of these prints. You can mix it up. And so I was an intern at the Brooklyn Collective on South Brevard Street. It's like 229, like where Studio 229 is.
Yeah.
And the Brooklyn Collective is like they're the same building. But I met an artist named Tim Okamura. He's a Japanese-Canadian artist. I'm pretty sure he's based in New York City. But he's an amazing painter. He paints a lot of people of color and talks about social justice. He's a really good man. I had the honor of meeting him. And I talked to him and I showed him my work. I really got to really talk to him, and he was like, well, he said, you really brighten up when you talk about your mixed media work. And he was like, I don't want to push you to make a major decision, but he was like, maybe you should give it a try and switch to printmaking. And because he flew in from New York to come to the exhibition opening, and right before he left, because I went to see him off and say bye, he was like, switch to printmaking, Tiara. And I was like, okay. So I kind of went with it, but like it was really good because it wasn't just like people telling me, but it was also too like I enjoyed the process. And the thing about me is like I have such a short attention span when it comes to working. Like I have to be doing different things, and with printmaking there's so much that you can do. Yes, it's time consuming, but like honestly I feel like it's worth it. It's like, yes, like it takes time for like the preparation, but I have multiple copies that I can distribute and make accessible to people. So that's kind of what led me to like switching my major.
That's cool. I like how you were able to get to like what we really love that way, and like he really saw that in you. Cause I do like to hear you speak about when you're really passionate about stuff. Like just now, just meeting you and everything. And I was gonna ask you, like when you're doing your art and everything, how did you get to this point where you're able to just like kind of you know what you feel and you're like really really understand what you feel? Like was it like you're always in touch with your emotions really good, or did like the art really was what like brought that out of you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm trying to think. I am thinking. um, it's more so like I would definitely say that I am an emotional person, and I definitely um took the time to self reflect because my family, like we're from New Jersey. We moved from Jersey to Fayetteville, North Carolina when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
So left all our family.
You live in Charlotte right now, right?
Yeah, I like left all of our family to move to Fayetteville, and then I moved to Charlotte. Like I went to UNCC. I was in the dorms at first, but when the summer of COVID happened, I just moved to Charlotte. And but like I would definitely say living in Charlotte, it definitely has given me the time to really reflect on myself. And I really think being alone, like being away from like people that you're used to, like family, daily routine of friends, it really brings out another side of you to really reflect on you as a person and like just what which you should be doing. So I would say like with the art, it was definitely getting there, but I felt like being alone by myself in a different area and a place where nobody knows my name was like the best way to kind of really figure it out for myself. So like while the art was like a kind of means to kind of talk about my emotions, it's definitely the life experience that takes you there. Like if you're not living, there's not really a soul in your art. I feel like art is a vehicle of those emotions and like being intact with it. But like definitely it was just more so like I had to go do something different, really, because when I lived in Fayetteville, I was like, Tiara, you're not gonna grow as an artist staying in Fayetteville, so you gotta go. And that's why I was A-okay with going to UNC. Like Charlotte, like I mean, I won't lie, I was like, it's far from home. I was like, I feel like you need that. I feel like you need to be a little further from home, 2.5 hours away. But hey, like on the weekends, maybe you can make something happen. Because, you know, SCAD was too expensive, so I couldn't go there. But I was like, I feel like this would be good. So I actually impulsively drove there once because I had worked at Journeys for like a week. I was a new employee, and like an accidental transaction happened. And a person walked away with a free pair of shoes while I was unregistered, and I didn't know. And so it was the regional manager, no, the district manager who came in, and he told them to fire me. And the manager was like, it was a mistake. Like, you know, she didn't do anything wrong. Like, I was like so new to it, and I was so upset because the manager was like, we were willing to pay for the shoe, but he was like, no. Because he said it was suspicious how I remembered that I made an accidental transaction. But I didn't even know the lady who took the free pair of shoes, like the person, you know. So, like, I was so upset. So I got in my car and I just drove to Charlotte. And then when I like, pulled up to Charlotte, I was like, you know what? I said, Tara, I think you're going to be all right. And so then after that, like, it just, like, went from there. Like, I, like, you know, prepped for my leave to Charlotte and just called it a day. Really. Did I answer your question?
I did an answer there somewhere. Yeah, I asked you, what did I ask you again? I asked you, like, how did you, oh my God, I don't remember.
It was like how, like my art, like something about like my emotions. Dang, how did I forget like question two?
I was asking you like were you always in touch with your emotions? That's the question.
So I mean honestly, like I said, I'm an emotional person. So like I knew when I was feeling some type of way, but definitely I felt like I became like more aware. That's what I was getting at. I'm more aware of my emotions now than I was when I was younger. I feel like I was more oblivious.
Yeah.
I was more oblivious to like the feelings and the way that I reacted. Oh. But it wasn't until like I left home I really started to be more, and like I've always been intact with my emotions. Like it's like it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. But I felt like the self-awareness part came when I was alone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You had to move to another place as an artist because you knew it was stifling your creativity. How long you been here for a while?
It's been like 4 years now, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah. August marked 4 years. Well, maybe like almost 3.5 because I was in the dorms like the first year and then COVID happened And I did go back to Fayetteville for a little bit, but then I moved during that summer closer to fall time.
Yeah.
So like 3.5 years, almost 4-ish.
Yeah.
But we're like around that cusp.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna ask like when like you being out here, how has it like benefited you
Oh.
being in Charlotte?
Oh my God, like it being a growing art scene, I definitely say this is a great place for artists to incubate. So when I first came to Charlotte, I just volunteered for Talking Walls Charlotte, and I met amazing artists.
Talking Walls, yeah.
Yes, I love Talking Walls. Like every year, I typically volunteer. Yeah, I usually volunteer. Like I'm like, if you guys need me, I'm here. So
talk a little bit about them too.
About Talking Walls. Oh my God, like it's amazing. Like it's different people now who run it, but like the organization as a whole, it's amazing for bringing out like different muralists. You get to meet them, talk to them. Like that's the perks of like moving to Charlotte. Like there's so many artists here that you can talk to, and sure they may not be Banksy or whatever, and it's not throwing shade on anybody because I love and respect everybody here. Everybody has been so amazing and like very open to talking to you, you know. But it's like sharing information, helping you grow as an artist, you know. I feel like society has this expectation that in order to be an artist, you must be a full-time artist. There's only like a few people here in Charlotte who are full-time creatives. You know, some of us, like me, we have a job and we create. You know, we have a job to help pay the bills and we create. And we're still artists, you know, because I definitely saw the ignorance of people who are not in the art scene. Like, you know, the impression that, oh, you have to be working full-time in art to be an artist. But with that, like, everybody here is like so amazing. Like, you get to learn so much, whether it be technical or the business aspect. Now with Talking Walls, when I first volunteered, I met a bunch of artists, and I adore them to this day. Like Ladanya, she's a Colombian artist, like from Colombia, like South America, and she was really cool. I met Glio. I met Matt Hooker, local muralist here. The time at Arco and Owl. I just met I met a bunch of people here, and like honestly, like I love it. Like in Charlotte, you just don't know. Like, you know, I feel like it's like serendipity, like a coincidence. Like you just never know. Like you meet so many great people.
Maybe, like you see them in a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's like it seems like it's such a big place, but still, it seems like it's still small.
Small world.
You still find these people everywhere.
Yeah, small world. Like, and it's amazing. Like, you know, you go into get your arts, you meet these cool people. You go to McCall, you meet these cool people. You go to Vapa, you meet more cool people. Hey, you never know. You could be walking down the street and there's a cool person working on a mural. You know? And it's just like, and I think it's really cool because like Charlotte's like, you know, trying to build a good community and like opportunities for artists. And like, you know, it's going to take some time, you know, because it's just like with funding and stuff, you know, it's just like one of those things like where it's like so difficult, you know, but like I feel like it's really cool here because we have a community. Like it's almost like it takes a village, you know.
Yeah.
Like we have a whole community that's really trying to build up creatives and empower them and like teach them the game, like the business of art. Because like one thing in college they don't really teach you the business of art well, and like kind of being here, like you learn from the people here. Like you have people who've been doing it, who've got like commissions, grants. You know, they'll tell you what organizations to look at. Even like Charlotte is creative. Like they have like the creative creative entrepreneurship initiative, and they have like those classes where you can learn this stuff. And then I know it's Queen QC Family Tree. That's a new organization that's doing like artist residencies. Like you have these places right here that are trying to teach you, you know. And like honestly speaking, not everybody's gonna stay in Charlotte, and that's cool. But like you could look at this as a starting point to get you somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it being in Charlotte. That's the beauty.
Yeah, I love that. Like being out here, it's a really nice opportunity for like just to be the serendipity of being out here because there's all these opportunities and different people you'll meet while you're out here, especially if you came from another place. A lot of people do like to move here. It's been popping recently.
Mm-hmm.
And,
rapid gentrification too.
yeah, that's the one thing about it too. It's a negative, it's a gift and a curse in some ways, but it's like I personally am not a city planner. I don't know the best way to go about it and everything. But thank you so much, Tiana. I do want to go ahead and start wrapping it up about this whole podcast, and I did want to ask you: is there anything that like you want the people to know about, like that you got going on or had in the past?
Okay. Dang. Anything I got going on? Well, I'm a columnist studio artist, so I'm there. Doing printmaking stuff. So if you're ever curious about printmaking isn't dead. Come by. We could show you some stuff.
Mm. Nice. Yeah, there's so many places you can get residency out here. McCall is one of them. And yes, I've seen the prints. Like it's a really like I haven't seen hers in particular, but like the printmaking, like it shows people's artistic.
Well, you gotta stop by so you can see those.
Straight. You gotta show me after this. I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's like straight, like from the hand though. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thank you for coming in for another episode of the Charlotte Outdoors podcast. You can get us on Instagram, the Charlotte Outdoors. We're gonna have it on YouTube, and we're gonna have it on our own channel as well. But all right, guys. You guys catch us in the next one. Thank you guys for showing up. Peace.